A river is fresh water flowing across the surface of the land, usually to the sea. Rivers flow in channels. The bottom of the channel is called the bed, and the sides of the channel are called the banks. Rivers begin at their source in higher ground, such as mountains or hills, where rainwater or melting snow collects and forms tiny streams. When one stream meets another and they merge together, the smaller stream is known as a tributary. It takes many tributary streams to form a river. A river grows larger as it collects the water from more tributaries along its course. The great majority of rivers eventually flow into a larger body of water, like an ocean, sea, or large lake. The end of the river is called the mouth. Lakes are large bodies of water that are surrounded by land and are not part of an ocean. Lakes are relatively still bodies of water when compared to a river where the water flows. They can contain either salt or fresh water and are larger than ponds. Lakes contain about 90% of all the surface water on Earth, not including oceans. Lakes form when water finds its way into a basin. In order to continue existing, lakes must have a continual source of new water. Otherwise, they will eventually dry up. Most lakes contain fresh water. However, in some cases, the water found in a lake can become salty, just like the ocean. This happens when a lake does not have a stream, either above ground or underground, draining water away from it. As water enters a lake, it carries minerals with it. As this water dissolves, it leaves the minerals behind. A bay is a body of water that is partly surrounded by land. Bays empty out into larger bodies of water like oceans and lakes. They are sometimes confused with other bodies of water, such as gulfs, but bays are typically smaller. Bays can be formed in a variety of ways, including by way of erosion, which is a word used to describe the slow damage of something from nature's forces like wind, rain, or ice. Another way bays can form is when the layers beneath the Earth's surface shift, which can cause pieces of land to separate and allow water to flow through. A mountain is a landform that rises high above the surrounding terrain in a limited area. They are made from rocks and earth. Generally, mountains are higher than 600 meters. Those less than 600 meters are called hills. Mountains usually have steep, sloping sides and sharp or slightly rounded ridges and peaks. Mountains can be rocky and barren. Some have trees growing on their sides, and very high mountains have snow on their peaks. Some common features of mountains include the following: the summit or the top of the mountain, the slope or side of the mountain, and a very steep valley between young mountains known as a gorge. A plateau is a flat-topped highland with steep sides. Since it looks like a table, it is also called a tableland. They are basically areas of high flat land. Plateaus are usually surrounded by steep rock faces called cliffs. Some plateaus, like the Plateau of Tibet, lies between mountain ranges. Plateaus are usually good for growing certain crops. Plateaus are formed when magma pushes up towards the surface of the Earth's crust. This magma does not break through, but it raises a portion of the crust up, creating a plateau. There are certain kinds of plateaus, like the butte and the mesa. These are special kinds of plateaus. Plains are just large areas of land that are mostly flat. Flat land might not seem very exciting. but plains are very common. They're found on every continent and cover more than 1/3 of the land on Earth. Let's find out how plains are formed. Natural plant life on plains is dependent on the climate and can range from thick forests to grasslands and everything in between. A coastal plain is a stretch of lowland along a seacoast which slopes toward the sea. A floodplain is the floor of a river valley beyond the riverbed. A floodplain is formed of mud, sand, and silt that are left behind when the river overflows its banks.